Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband's brother to be in the delivery room? I'm currently 31 weeks with twins, a boy and a girl. My husband and I are both 21, and we're trying for a baby for about a year before we fell pregnant. I've had a pretty rough pregnancy, and my brother-in-law is a medical student. He's 24, so has taken quite a lot of interest in my pregnancy and future delivery. We've always gotten on well. I've known my husband's family since we were children, so we've pretty much grown up together. A few days ago, my husband told me that my brother-in-law had expressed an interest in being there whilst I gave birth, mainly due to it being beneficial from an educational standpoint to see a natural multiples birth, which is what I'm planning for. I know things can change on that front, but hoping for that. Also, so my husband can have support as I'll have my mom. Worth mentioning that our hospital doesn't have a restriction on the amount of people can be in the delivery room. I said absolutely not. There is no way in hell I'm allowing that. I'm not even really keen on allowing my husband to watch me go through that, let alone his brother. He said it'd be a good experience for him at his degree, and I said that as much as I supported him, my experience of having a pleasant birth was my priority. He got defensive and said he should be allowed to have a support person too, which I suppose I do understand, but I really just feel uncomfortable about it all. He said it was just as much his right as it was mine to have someone there to support him. It basically turned into a huge argument, with his brother and mom being dragged into it too. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I am actually creeped out that your brother-in-law even wants to be there. There is just something so wrong about it. You're the one who is about to have her vagina ripped apart while two humans shove their head and shoulders through it. What you say goes. Do not give in on this. Congratulations on having twins, and I wish you a smooth labor and delivery. Thank you so much. Just gonna hop on here and say I see tons of these posts, and it always takes me back to Grey's Anatomy when Callie was disagreeing with Arizona and Mark ganging up on her with the voting. So she gives the baby a vote. Since she carries baby, she votes for baby. And since her vagina is gonna push said human out, it gets extra special vagina vote. So she outvoted them. Tell him if that he is willing to get naked, lay on the dining room table, grab his ankles, and let your dad stare at his a-hole for an hour. Then you will think about getting his brother in the delivery room. Birth is hard enough. Don't let him bully you into this. The only person who's important during birth is the one doing it. And as a doctor, his brother should know that a patient's desire trumps her extended family's. I would also let him know this decision is already final, and if he brings it up again or tries to sneak him in during, that he will not be welcome in the delivery room either. Not stay home. And if he thinks he needs a support person for him, then he needs to not be in the delivery room. His logic doesn't make sense. If his brother-in-law is there to support your hubby, then he won't be able to focus on learning. If his brother-in-law is there to learn, then he won't be able to focus on supporting hubby. Please note that I'm saying this as a father who was in the delivery room. You want as few people in the room as possible to avoid getting in the way if something goes sideways. In addition, most doctors aren't keen on having a medical student who is also family there because they might try to second-guess treatment and get in the way. If you really need an out, send a message to your birthing doctor and tell them to make a statement that they do not want anyone besides mom and dad in the room during the birth. That's another one of my concerns, actually. I love my brother-in-law, but he's a complete know-it-all. There's not a doubt in my mind that he'd try and instruct the doctors in some way. I'd be mortified. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my husband for the burnt beefsteak I cooked for him? With a little update. My husband 30 and I 32 keep our finances separate and we do not share anything until and unless there's an agreement. He wants it this way, and I'm okay with that, although he can be strict with what's his and what's mine. Anyways, 2 days ago I brought home a raw steak cut. It asked me to take time off work and work from home to cook it for him, and I said okay since he was a bit sick and exhausted. I prepared a steak and added all ingredients together, then put it inside the oven, then stopped by the bedroom where he was lying in bed playing on his phone, and told him I had to go back to work and the steak was in the oven and he needed to turn it off in exactly 10 minutes, so it wouldn't get overcooked since he hates it overcooked. 40 minutes go by and my husband rushes in freaking out telling me he just checked on the steak and it was completely burnt. He asked why I didn't turn off the oven 10 minutes after I notified him, and he says to me that he was busy harvesting the strawberries at the game he was playing. I just shrug and tell him this is on him then for being on his phone distracted and letting the meat burn. But he says to me, well, no doubt it's your fault because when you start something, you finish it, and you were supposed to finish cooking the steak. I immediately reminded him I agreed to take valuable time off work to cook for him when I didn't have to and when he was playing on his phone, so he should be grateful. He gets more upset and says that I need to pay X amount for the steak since I bought it from the butchers, so it's high quality and like the supermarket. But I said no, this is not my responsibility. He then tells me that yes it is, and that I should think of it as I took money from his salary and burned it. Not to mention that he gets no dinner, therefore I owe him. I lash at him telling him no and get out of my office so I could finish my work, since my time is valuable as well as his precious steak and he was wasting it. He keeps insisting I pay for the price of the steak and even said I was wrong for refusing to take responsibility and correct my mistake and just pay. Because he wants to buy another cut of steak but does not plan on using his money again, because why should he? He wasn't the one who cooked and let the steak burn. Am I the a-hole? Added to explain that separate finances is his idea, and the reason for that is that he was married to a woman out of the US, and she took all his money and belongings once they got separated. In an illegal way, of course. Thus, he now feels uncomfortable to share finances with another partner, which, like I said, is okay with me since I have many married friends with separate finances who are living happily. Not today, home. Tell him to eat the freaking strawberries he was busy harvesting. Opie, stop babying him. Stop taking care of him. Stop doing special favors. He does not value you. This argument is ridiculous. He was playing on his phone and wanted you to cook for him? Why did you say yes? It sounds like your husband is used to getting what he wants. When was the last time he did something considerate for you? Not today, Hall, but maybe it's time for some counseling for you to work and why you feel it's okay for him to make demands of you while you were working. I'd send him a bill for the time it took out of work to prep his steak and argue with him, if it's going to be like that. Separate finances is one thing. This nickel and dime nonsense doesn't sound sustainable. How long are you going to give him to decide that you're not his ex? Oh boy, where to start? 1. Incapable of recognizing he made a mistake. 2. Incapable of completing a simple task because he was doing something inconsequential. 3. Trying to flip blame on you. 4. Incapable of acknowledging the importance of your work and your time, much less respecting it. 5. Am less bothered by your division of finances, and more concerned by how he penny pinches when it benefits him. Honestly, it seems you should go for a walk by yourself and take a step back, to carefully reevaluate what other red flags you have ignored, and if this way of life is worth it. Don't plan on potential, plan based of what's already there. Agreed. He's deflecting anything bad to Opie while failing to respect her time at work. Eek. When you divorce the strawberry harvesting and grateful for your efforts and unable to tell time aficionado of fine beef products, you have to get the best lawyer you can afford, because he is going to try so hard to nickel and dime you. Make him sorry. Not today, Hall, and I'm sorry you are unappreciated. Go out and buy yourself a personal-sized fine steak and make it yourself. And don't share. Little update. Too many people on here commenting and I can't read every single comment. But I just wanted to say that I showed my husband a thread and he wanted to tell you guys something. But I didn't let him touch the phone and type by himself because I know how rude he can be online. So I'm just presenting a more civil version of what he wanted to say. He says that he thinks the comments he's seen are being unfair to him and completely pushing aside the fact that A, paid money for a steak cut, and B, that I agreed to cook, and so he thinks I should have finished the favor. He also says that I left out a part where I suggested he get a cheaper steak from the supermarket. I did, which was offensive because he spends time driving to the butcher's and money to buy a fresh steak, and eating at the steakhouse is expensive. Also, he says to the top comment that he doesn't like freaking strawberries. That is why I can't eat them. I think that's enough. He's pressuring me to give him my phone so he could type out what he wants to say, but I believe all the relevant info is here. I'll update if possible. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for sternly telling my wife I get to invite whoever I want whenever I want to my house? My wife is a stay-at-home mom while I work full-time. We have 2 kids that I help do 50% of their care while she handles cooking and cleaning and the other 50% of childcare as well. I'm sociable by nature and I'm fast at making friends, whether at work or outside of it. The problem my wife has is that I invite friends and co-workers, guests, over every few days to my house for dinner or lunch. Restaurants aren't an option now due to budget. My wife said she has to cook for my guests, though I never tell her to cook this or that, nor ever complain about her choice of meals because it depends. The guests eat whatever she feels like cooking, yet she complains that she has to cook for extra people, which takes effort and time. And also, since I sit with the guests, then she has to serve them by bringing coffee, / preparing the table, / etc. since I told her I don't do these chores. But I thought that since this is her area of responsibilities, then where's the problem? I invited few guests for Thanksgiving, 6 people, and when she found out, she lost it, saying I should have consulted her first. I said there was no need, because they just eat whatever she cooks, no problem. But she said she wasn't going to agree to cook a large portion and for 6 extra people. Aside from serving them and handling hosting, that is too much for her. I told her she was making a big deal out of it, and should just stop freaking out over a few extra plates and glasses and whatnot. She said she didn't agree, but then I eventually had guests over, and after they left, she started yelling at me saying she was not minded my guests' server, and that I should stop having them over. That is when I told her very sternly that it's my house, and I get to invite whoever I want whenever I please, and called her unreasonable to react like that, instead of being welcoming to the people who wanted to spend time with us, unlike her family cut us off completely. But she shouted that she was done with being on my beck and call, and having to be forced to take care of my guests in terms of serving and cooking, just because it's her part of chores. That if I want to continue to have guests over, then I'll have to step up and cook for them myself, which I thought was quite rude and unfair for her. We went back and forth in this argument, and she then stopped talking to me and started giving me the silent treatment, making me feel like I'd committed some sin by having guests over. Info: I just wanted to explain that my wife's main issue isn't about cooking itself, but having to cook extra for the guests, which is understandable, and I try to compromise by suggesting we set time limits for when my guests visit to avoid having to include them in dinners and whatnot. It also suggested we limit the frequency of those visits. But she stated she will still have an issue with it, and gave me the options of either handling the hosting myself, or just completely stop having them over or take them out to restaurants. But then restaurants consume money, and she was the one who advised against going to restaurants. Now for the comments. Bro, you're the a-hole, especially if you aren't helping. You're doubling or tripling her workload of keeping a regular house while you sit on your butt, while expecting her to take up all the slack of meeting the expectations of a proper host. It's also apparent that you don't cook, because there is a significant difference in cooking for, let's say, 4 people, and cooking for 10 people. Just because they will eat what you cook doesn't mean that you have nearly triple the amount she needs to make. And then on top of that, it made more complicated as many dishes take longer to prepare properly if you need to make large quantities. Never mind all the dishes and extra work after the meal, which, let me guess, you don't help with those either. Seriously, if you don't understand the complexity of the work she does, you can shut the hell up or do it yourself. Because I'm certain if she refused to feed your guests, you'd be the first to decry how poorly she's behaving as a wife and hostess. Oh wait, she did threaten that. And now you are decrying it's her responsibility. Where do you think the food she is cooking anyway comes from? Do you believe she has the power of Jesus and is able to feed 10 people from the amount of food that would normally only feed 4? Do you even know how to use the oven and stove? The sin isn't having guests over. The sin is not understanding the work your wife does in the household, and not understanding that while all you do is eat the food, how much work goes into preparing a good meal, being a good host, and all the cleanup afterwards. And then when your wife explains it to you being too much of an a-hole to figure out that feeding all of your friend is a lot of extra work, even if she isn't changing the menu for the day. If you don't even have the ability to cook at her level for 10 plus people at a time, you definitely better shut the hell up. Your wife is completely in the right here. Jesus, man. Absolutely you're the a-hole. How did you do a Reddit post from 1953? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for tricking my husband to coming to a school event and inviting her to my house? My mother and husband hate each other. That's the most basic way to put it. Truth is that my husband feels that he is treated as less than my other sibling spouses because of his skin color, and my mother feels that he is way too dumb for my standards. However, I personally feel that my mother does not show any favoritism or harsh treatment of my husband. Because of this, my husband cannot stand my mother and has recently begun to even be in the same room as her. Oh, your mom's going to be at Christmas. I'm going to a friend's house. Oh, your mom's going to the kids' event? I'll just stay at home. Frankly, it's insanely demoralizing for me, and I hate my husband when he backs out of something just because my mom is going to be there, and it's worse when he demands that my mom not go because he wants to be there. In my opinion, he's the one with a big issue. He should be the one to leave the kids' events. Recently, one of my kids was having a big football match and he wanted his father there. My mother also wanted to be there, so I tried telling my son that he couldn't have his father there. He was adamant, so I told my husband that my mother was not going to be there. He arrives, and obviously so does my mother, and they are immediately bickering. He makes a comment about how racist my mother is, and then she fires back saying she was never racist. I told them to shut up and sent my husband to sit somewhere else for a while. I decided that since the game ended late, I'll bring my mom back to my home and make her some dinner. My husband threw a hissy fit over this, and was screaming about me always choosing my mother over him. And I was like, of freaking course I'm going to put my mother over my husband. She's the woman who single-handedly raised me and 3 other kids. She's literally a goddess for not giving some of us for adoption. My husband stormed out and I'm left wondering if I've done something wrong. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. She thinks it's stupid. Why? Your son asked for his dad to be there, not your mother. Sounds like you're the one with a favoritism issue, considering you decided to have mom there anyway. Edit. I skipped over the last part. Holy hell. She's a goddess for not giving you or your siblings for adoption? Get your head out of your mother's bottom. Yes, Opie's drunk a narcissist Kool-Aid. Either that or the mother wrote this. Info. Why and how does your mother's wish take precedence over your son and your husband? This entire post is fully insane, but this one is truly bewildering. Your son wants his dad there, not his grandma. So why is she trying to uninvite dad instead of grandma? I truly hope her poor husband escapes her and takes the kids too. Am I the a-hole for telling my kids I am not okay with calling their stepmom mom? 2 years ago, my husband left me for my best friend after 20 years of marriage, and they got married. As much as I loved my husband, his affair wasn't a surprise. My mother-in-law told me in our wedding day that men like him don't stay loyal to women like me. She was right. What hurt the most was the betrayal from my best friend. I loved this woman, and considered her a sister. Since then, I have gone no contact from both of them. Any communication regarding the kids goes through a third party. If they are at an event, I don't go there. My kids know this and have respected this boundary. They know not to mention them to me and we celebrate birthdays separately. The kids are now 16 female, 17 male, 17 female, 18 female, and 21 male. Recently, when we were all at our house, 16 female asked me if I was okay with her calling her stepmom mom. She said since she will have a half-sibling soon, this will make the half-sibling not confused and part of the family. I told her that no, I am not okay with that woman being called mom, but she could call her that if she wanted to. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean she doesn't have to do it. I won't be mad at her if she calls her mom. The other kids started getting mad at her, but I shut them down. My mother-in-law called me screaming, saying I'm alienating the stepmom, and I should have told 16 female that I'm okay with it. I have an honest policy with my kids. I'm always open and honest with them. Just because I do not personally like something they do, doesn't mean I don't let them do it. For example, 17 male has a lot of piercings I personally do not like, but that doesn't mean I forbid him from having them. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not stay home. At 16, the kid should be able to understand why you would not be okay with that. Besides, I don't see how the half-sibling would be confused if everything is explained to them like any other blended family. Sounds like someone whispered in your kid's ear about calling the mistress mom thing, because I don't think a 16-year-old would think about it on their own. I would like to say that my former best friend is better than that, but then again, she also slept with my husband after 15 years of friendship, so maybe I don't know her that well. It may not be the mistress. It could be your ex or your ex's mother, since she seems so angry about it. Your ex's mother. Possible. She loves her new daughter-in-law. No one was happier in the divorce than her, because she now finally has a daughter-in-law for her class, rather than one below it. You handled that very maturely and reasonably. Your ex-mother-in-law is just an a-hole, and don't listen to her. I think that you are being graceful in the face of great pain and sacrifice. You sound like an excellent mother. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'd suggest adding your mother-in-law to your no-contact list as well, since it looks like she's not a rational person. Can I call her mom and are you okay with me calling her mom are two very different questions. The first one, the answer can be controversial. If you had said no, then she could have argued with you. You said yes. No arguing there. The second one, she is asking you about a feeling. You can't control a feeling. She can't be mad because you feel things. What makes a difference between a good and a bad person is not the feeling they have, but what they do with the feeling. You are not a bad person for having a feeling, and you were definitely a good person for having a bad feeling, but choosing to handle it the hard way. Not today, Hall. Now for the little update. I just went up to my daughter's room. I gently asked her why she gave mother-in-law my number. She said because grandma asked her. I asked if it was her idea to call stepmom mom. She said yes. I told her she is more than allowed to call her mom. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. I also told her that I want no contact with her grandmother for a reason, and she isn't allowed to give my number out to people I don't talk to. She apologized. Also to the people asking about the stepmom. She was my best friend for 15 years and the kids considered her an aunt. When the affair happened, the oldest kid stopped talking to her, but the youngest was very attached to her still. Maybe that's why she feels comfortable with calling her mom. Either way, it's her choice. I would also like to address a few things. To those of you accusing me of blaming the stepmom and not my husband for the affair, I blame both. I got betrayed by two people. One a husband and the other a sister. A betrayal from a sister hits just as hard as a betrayal from a husband. And secondly, some of you have been commenting on why my daughter is so attached to the stepmom. My youngest is a very loving person. Her stepmom has been in her life since she was 1 year old. Back then she was auntie, but after the affair, all my other children turned away from her. But it wasn't so easy for my youngest. She still cares for her. My boundary is still in place. I'm no contact with the ex-mother-in-law and ex-best friend. I will be logging off now. Have a great day. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not contributing to my family's expenses related to my wedding? My fiancé 26 female and I 28 male are getting married at a destination wedding next summer. The destination is special to my fiancé as she vacationed there with her family a couple times when she was younger and it holds sentimental value to her. I was open to the idea since I am pretty indifferent when it comes to the wedding planning, and this seemed like an easy way to check a lot of boxes at once, plus the added bonus of my fiancé getting a wedding she dreamed about. Of course, the downfall of a destination wedding is that people might not be able to attend. We expected this and had a lot of conversations about making sure we don't take anything personally if people can't attend, and we're very clear to the people we asked to be in our wedding party about the cost and expectations. There were a couple of friends they asked to be groomsmen that had to decline due to them having young kids, and I totally get that and respect it. I'm not an idiot. My wedding is not more important than your kids to you. This hasn't been as much of a problem with my fiancé's side, as her family comes from money, and destination weddings are kind of the norm for them. In the time we've dated, I think 4 to 5 of her cousins have had destination weddings. But we only attended one of them, and there was no fuss on anyone's part about the ones we didn't go to. My family, however, does not come from money. When I told my parents and siblings about our wedding plans, they all kind of freaked out about not being able to afford it. I get it, my siblings have kids and expenses too. So I told them I understand if it's not something they are able to afford. And while I would love for them to be there, I won't hold it against them if they can't make it work. My parents have guilted me over it a little bit, but have assured me they will be attending. However, they told me that we should all pool some money together, and by all they mean mostly me, to make sure all my siblings and their families can attend. I told them there is pretty much no way I can do that. My 2 sisters got wind of this idea, probably from my mom, and they said that the only way they can attend is if I help pay for at least half of their trips for their whole families, kids included. I kind of laughed at that and told them there is no way I will do that. They said that since I am the one who decided to have a destination wedding, and that it is my responsibility to make sure my family can all attend. I told them that I love them and would love to have them at my wedding, but I am not funding vacations for their entire family. I said the only way I would even consider it would be if it was just them and their spouses, no kids. They said that excluding their kids was not acceptable. They told me that I have turned into a stuck-up a-hole since I got engaged, and I am rubbing my fiancé's money in their faces. They accused me of having a destination wedding on purpose to rub it in their faces that they can't afford something like it. The thing is, you're throwing a wedding that you know your family can't attend financially, but your wife's can. You therefore know that this will be a wedding for your wife's family, not yours. You therefore know that this is symbolic of you choosing and entering a lifestyle in which money divides you from your former family. If your family's presence in your life isn't important for your wedding, there's every reason to believe it won't be important for other events. Your family understands all this, just like you do. You're pretending it's just one day and it's no big deal if they miss it. Like, you won't be offended. Like, your feelings won't be hurt. But that's your way of deflecting the point. It hurts them to watch you choose money over their participation in your life. It hurts them to be excluded from the wedding of their close loved one. You're the a-hole. Take responsibility for leaving your family out of your wedding. It hurts them to watch you choose money over their participation in your life. It hurts them to be excluded from the wedding of their close loved one. Meh, they don't really show much interest in my life anyway. Heck, when my sisters FaceTime me to complain, it was the first time either of them had taken the time to call me in almost 18 months. I am 10 years younger than my older sister and 8 years younger than the other. I have been an afterthought in their lives ever since they started having kids. I don't hold it against them. I get it. Their families are the most important things in their lives. I make sure to send cards for each of their kids on every birthday, gifts for every kid at Christmas. I don't even get a text from them on my birthday. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm kidding myself into thinking I actually want them there. And this is just my subconscious reminding me that they don't give a F about me unless they think they can get something out of it. But for them to act like they actually care about my important life events kind of makes me laugh now that I think about it. Based on this, not stay home. You're not close and that sucks. But you are doing your due diligence in the relationship and they aren't. The age gap can make sibling relationships more complicated. Everyone sucks here. Yeah, sure, it's your wedding. No, you don't need to pay for anyone to attend. But saying you'd love for them to come is deeply disingenuous when you've set this up. Or allowed it to be set up, rather. In a way you know only works for your fiancé and her family. And while I'm not recommending you throw her under the bus, I think you need to stop treating your family like idiots and just acknowledge you don't actually care whether they're there or not. It's Opie's wedding and they can have it where they damn well please. It's not treating people like idiots or disingenuous to say we would love for you to come but we understand why you might not be able to. Other people's finances aren't their problem and shouldn't dictate their choices. Next story. Am I the a-hole? I went with my friend to a restaurant that was originally reserved for me and my wife. Yesterday was my birthday. My 30 male wife, 28 female and I had made reservations at this really nice Korean barbecue restaurant for dinner. My wife is also 4 months pregnant. However, her friend wanted to hang out with her and had called her the night before my birthday. My wife said that this was a childhood friend of hers and that she really wanted to spend time with her. I reminded her that it's my birthday, but she just dismissed it, saying my birthday comes every year, but her friend will be leaving for Germany in a few weeks. I told her that she could go after my birthday as well, but she did not listen and just went to a sleepover at her friend's place. I got really mad at her, but instead of waiting for her to return home to talk things out, I asked my friend if he would like to hang out with me. He was fine with it, so we spent the day fishing, grilling, hiking, and went to the Korean barbecue for dinner. When she came home after spending time with her friend, she apologized to me saying it was an unavoidable circumstance. I told her that it wasn't a problem, and that I spent the day with my best friend. She got mad that I would take him to the restaurant that we had booked for ourselves. I said that it was originally for us, but since she prioritized her friend over me, I took the person who prioritized me on my birthday. She said that I'm controlling and that I shouldn't be deciding who she spends time with. Now she's neither talking to me nor coming out of the room. I think I went too far by telling her whom she should be spending time with. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. But you didn't tell her she shouldn't spend time with her friend? You only asked that she not do it on that specific day. What is she talking about? Your wife is playing the victim here. She seems really immature and rude. Not the a-hole. I know. It's funny because she also stated that her friend is leaving in a few weeks, but his birthday is one day. Normal Darvo crap. Damn. Came back to check on this because of the notification. Didn't really know what Darvo was. Googled it and damn. That is freaking Darvo crap. Legit, she is playing victim now to make Opie feel guilty. And it worked. Opie had to write this because he most likely thought he was the a-hole. Seems to me she's actually the one being controlling. She doesn't prioritize you on your birthday. but then wants to say you shouldn't continue with your plans with your friend in her place? She would have preferred you sitting at home waiting for her on your birthday. That's really not very nice. Edited Dwed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this was a milestone birthday? That's not right. Yep, it was my 30th birthday. That's why the fancy restaurant, or we usually stuff ourselves at AC's. Oh wow. Yeah, I think that was a really selfish decision on her part, and you were remarkably cool about it, considering it must have hurt some. So not fair to get mad at you for celebrating with someone who chose to be there for you. I'm confused. What did she expect you to do? Sit at home and cry? Your wife is the a-hole. She didn't need to visit her friend that day. She didn't need to stay out all night and come in the next morning. That's weird. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to return the $600 gift I bought for Mom for Christmas? To start, I want to mention that unlike my wife, I have a very good relationship with Mom. And because my siblings can always afford pricey gifts for Mom this year, I decided to gift her something nice and expensive for once on Christmas. Though I'm currently unemployed, but I work for the past few months, and my wife and I have a joint account. The problem began when my wife found out I purchased a $600 necklace for my mom to gift her on Christmas using our joint account. She went off on me saying I should have told her and shouldn't have taken money from our joint account that she uses to pay the bills and rent, especially now that we're struggling. I asked why should I tell her since it's for us both, but she reminded me that despite that being true, 1, I no longer work, and 2, $600 is a lot and I should have consulted her. But the reasons I didn't are 1, I feel that it's my money too and I can make purchases using our joint account, and 2, I know if I told my wife she'd refuse to let me buy the gift solely because she hates my mom. She yelled at me saying that it's her hard-earned money I threw away and needed to return the necklace. But I refused because Mom already knows about it. She responded that this is no longer our joint account since I no longer earn money, and that if I want to gift Mom expensive items then I needed to earn money. She insisted I return it, but I said no, and it escalated to me calling her bitter and controlling, after she pointed out I never got her anything in this price range. She's insisting I return it and at least get a cheaper one, but I'm done being the one with the least expensive/valuable gifts to gift in the family. She's making this her hill to die on. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Money shared is exactly that. Shared. You're in a partnership. You can't just spend the shared money willy-nilly. And she has every right to be upset if you're using the money you both share to buy extravagant gifts for other people without talking it through first. My rule of thumb is always, if it's more than $100, discuss it. Shared finances is not an ask for forgiveness, not permission situation. This exactly. I never spent more than $100 without consulting my wife. Because of tight bills, I lowered my threshold to $20 unless it is no necessity. Food, gas, oil change. You're unemployed and blew what I take home in a week? Oh yeah, you're the a-hole. Oh, told Mom before Christmas so you couldn't return it. Double a-hole. Doing it intentionally behind your wife's back because you didn't even need to talk to her to know it was wrong? You planning on moving in with your mother? Probably should. You need a new place to sleep. This was a triple a-hole move. You said what I was thinking in perfect summary. You should start packing now. It is absolutely unreasonable for someone in your financial situation, having no income, to be making unnecessary $600 purchases from your joint account without agreement from your wife. No parent wants their unemployed adult son buying them a $600 necklace for Christmas. He says she already knows about the necklace though, which may shed some light on why she and the wife don't get along. What sort of person finds out their unemployed son just spent $600 in jewelry? It is like, great, thanks, looking forward to it. Sounds like he and his mother deserve each other. Am I the a-hole for kicking my husband out after he made a tantrum because my son refuses to call him dad? My husband, Josh 30, and I 32 female, have been married for over a year and dated for 5. I have a son, Sam, 12, from a previous relationship. My ex and I are nowhere near friends, but he's an amazing father towards our kid in every possible way. My kid adores his father and they look pretty much alike. Josh and I have been trying to get pregnant for 2 years without success because he has a low count. We've tried everything, but right now we can only hope that it happens naturally since we can't afford more treatments. I guess that out of sadness, Josh has been around Sam a bit more, trying to get him to do things together and spend some time. Sam loves him, but he sees my husband as an authority or uncle figure and not like a dad. Now, Josh has been trying to get Sam to call him dad or father since we began to try to have a baby because he doesn't want my son to feel left out. But Sam has refused every single time and continues to call him Josh, and it's okay. I had a talk with my husband about how Sam just prefers his name and that it's nothing personal, and after a few more times, Josh desisted. But right now, my husband has begun to try again, and Sam continues to refuse, saying that he already has a daddy, and that he doesn't like the pressure Josh puts on him. I've tried to talk to my husband again, but every time he just says that it's not fair my ex gets all the credit while he's been a father figure for my kid half of his life. I told him that we cannot force Sam to call him something he doesn't want to, and that not being called dad doesn't make him less than my ex. I thought that was it, but yesterday while we were having dinner, Sam told my husband, "Josh, look at this," and my husband totally snapped. He grounded my son and took a switch, saying that unless he starts to call him dad, he won't get it back. Sam was almost crying, and I told him that none of that was going to happen because we won't force him to do something he doesn't want to. My husband began to throw a tantrum about how it's not fair, how Sam's looks so much like my ex that it's always a reminder that he deserves more respect. I told him to get out of the house until his mind is clear and doesn't feel that fighting a kid is right. I get that Josh feels desperate and hurt, but I don't think that making Sam call him dad is the right move. However, I could be wrong. I know that my ex won't have any problem sharing the title, and I'm afraid I might be the a-hole for not taking Josh's feelings into consideration. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You're standing up for your son and what he's comfortable with. Your husband has absolutely no right to force this, or gets mad when your son doesn't like it. Your husband is the a-hole, all the way. Protect your son. Husband needs therapy to deal with the struggles he's facing. Wanting to be a father doesn't give you the right to bully and force a child into calling you dad. This. AITA is full of stories about childless step-parents who try to force their step-kids to treat them like full parents, and ended up not only alienating the kids from themselves, but also from the bio-parent they're married to. You need to have a serious talk with Josh and insist on therapy for him, with maybe a family component, so that he can hear Sam's feelings on the matter in a situation that will allow him to really hear them. Not the a-hole. Yep. My dad forced us to refer to my stepmother as mom as soon as they married. I was 13 at the time, and my bio mother had always been our primary caregiver. Despite the fact that she made no effort to get to know or connect with us, they would both throw tantrums if we didn't celebrate her on Mother's Day, or in any way speak or act as though she was not our bio mom. His reasoning was that she didn't have her own children, so we owed that to her. 3 out of 4 of us are completely no contact as adults. You cannot force children to feel a certain way about you. It's just going to drive the kid further away. Not stay home. Put your son first. Your husband is out of line, and being upset with your son for looking like your ex is messed up. Real love doesn't divide or require titles. Your son is never going to feel comfortable with a stepfather acting like this, and you have a duty to protect him. You did exactly what you should have. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister that I can't support them in what they are doing? The gist of this is, 3 years ago my siblings and I found out our mom had cheated on our dad for several years of their marriage. We found out at the same time. Then we all took a DNA test, and only I was my dad's bio kid. It destroyed my parents' marriage, and Dad walked away from Mom. My siblings said that at the time he was their dad no matter what, and he said they were his kids no matter what, and never wanted them to feel otherwise. A year ago, they decided they wanted to meet their bio fathers. I noticed that at the time that it really stung my dad that they had any interest, though he never said anything or acted differently, not even to me when I tried to be a shoulder to lean on. Both of my siblings met their bio fathers, and both have built relationships up with these men. Now, my sister has decided she wants both dads to walk her down the aisle. It crushed our dad. He admitted to me afterward that he felt like he wasn't good enough, and he had a mixture of emotions because he never signed up to be one of the dads in the picture. He never wanted to be a co-dad. But now he is because his ex-wife had so many affairs. What makes it worse is these new relationships are getting more time, and he is noticing he sees them less because they are busy working on their bio relationship. My siblings have mentioned wanting to invite these bio fathers to family events and dinners. They want our dad to meet them, and they want a life where both men have the title for each. I told them I can't support this, that this is killing our dad, and I can't stand to see what this is doing to him. They said he's still their dad, but I told them they have essentially cast him aside in favor of these other fathers, and given he's the one who was there their whole lives, they can't expect everyone to be happy and be fine with us. My brother said he doesn't really love them if he doesn't want this for them, and they both called me an A for refusing to support them as their baby sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's one thing to meet a bi dad, but walking her down the aisle? Some guy had slept with a married woman with kids, and gets equal billing as the guy who raised her? Her dad has to walk down the aisle with him like he's his gay husband, the dude his wife cheated with, and who kidnapped pigs too. I understand wanting to meet his bi dad, but this is just mean. The kids are allowed to want to build a relationship with their bi dad. That is normal. It seems to me like it is the same as loving your mom and dad, except that they love their dad and dad, and they need to get to know these new dads. We don't know if those men knew that they were sleeping with a married woman, or even if they knew that they had kids until they were contacted. The first dad needs to express his hurt to the kids in a calm manner using I statements. I feel hurt that you spent less time with me, I am left feeling less loved, etc. And the siblings need to reassure their first and main proper dad that they still love him, and reinforce that bond. I don't think that the kids are a-holes though. Not from what was said in the original post. Opie's dad isn't saying they can't have those relationships. He's saying it hurts him to be asked to spend time with the man his wife ducked behind his back. And that's fair. That can have two fully separate relationships they just won't. I think it's strange that the sister expects the dads to be buddies and walk her down the aisle. The dad clearly doesn't want anything to do with those other men. Not today, home. It's understandable that your siblings want to get to know their bi dad. Of course, this is going to hurt your dad, but you can't blame your siblings for that. But it is ridiculous that your siblings want your dad to have any kind of a relationship with their bi dads. These are the guys that his wife cheated on him with. No a-holes here except the cheating mom who caused all this drama. It's natural for a person, your siblings, to want to know about their biological roots, and if they were able to connect with those people, that's their choice to make. It's natural for your dad to feel hurt at having to share the title of dad with a man who helped his wife cheat on him for kids he raised. I wouldn't blame him if he said no to walking your sister down the aisle alongside her bi dad. Again, a man who helped his wife cheat on him. It's natural for you to be indignant on your dad's behalf and want no part of hurting him, and not being able to understand a point of view of your siblings to say they consider your dad their dad, but don't seem to take into consideration how much their actions are hurting him. And you are not obligated to take part in supporting hurting your dad by supporting their choices if you don't want to. Next story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at these two ladies at the park about my brother? So I'm 20. My parents had a surprise pregnancy when I was 16. My little brother is 3 now, and we're close. My dad died last year from COVID in December, and it's been hard on all of us, especially my mom taking care of my little brother. I'm not in school right now, so in the mornings, me and him go to the park. Not a lot of people that early except these two ladies who were there with their kids. They were sitting by the swings, and I had my brother with me playing on the slides. But they kept looking at us. Even when I look at them, they'd keep staring. Then my brother wanted to go to play in the sandbox, which is by the swings. We walk past them, and they literally don't hide that they are looking at us. And then they say to each other, "Are kids still doing this?" And then I heard, "That poor baby." So they thought he was my son, which, yeah, makes sense. But openly talking crap? That got me mad. Normally, I don't do stuff like this. But I went to talk to them with my brother playing in the sand, and I asked them to say that again. Now they looked shocked. They try to act like they don't know what I'm talking about. So I asked the lady, "Are kids still doing what?" "That's my freaking brother." Then she was saying sorry she didn't know that, and thought I was his dad. And I told her no. Our dad died a few months ago, and I like to take him out because obviously my dad can't do that anymore. I was really mad. They said sorry for what they said, but all I told them that next time, don't freaking judge people's lives. It really got me, I don't know why, but didn't like the way they were being. I didn't hear them talking anymore. My mom saw me mad when we came home, so I told her everything. The reason she thinks I'm the a-hole was that I was still rude to these old ladies. It is not their fault that they didn't know. But still, to me it's like, So what if we weren't brothers and it was a dad with his kid? They still shouldn't be saying crap, and they were loud enough that I could hear it. But maybe I'm wrong? I don't know. That's why I'm asking here. Now for the comments. First, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm glad that your little brother have such a good brother to care for him. Also, not day hall. Those nosy people need to mind their own business. I like to take him out because obviously my dad can't do that anymore. Well said and well deserved. I hope you made them feel bad for being so quick to judge, and that they will think twice next time. And like, so what if he was his kid? Mistakes happen to teenagers all the time. They should have been impressed that he was being such a good father and actively taking part in his kid's life in that case. They just wanted to talk bad, because they were bored judgmental old ladies with nothing better to do with themselves. Kudos to Opie for being such a good big brother and role model to his little brother. Not stay home. Even if you were his dad, that still doesn't justify that disgusting comment. They were being judgmental pricks about something that has nothing to do with them. It doesn't matter that they didn't know or whatever. They assumed you were a single young father and decided to crap on you for that. That, and it off itself, is disgusting, and they deserve to be told off. You're a badass, my dude, and an awesome big brother. You're teaching that kid how to be a badass, upstanding guy too, by doing things like that. It's important that he understands that he doesn't just have to take abuse like that out of fear of being rude. Not stay home. I'm so very sorry for your loss. May your dad's memory bring you comfort. You are also a great big brother. Those women were completely out of line. You could have been watching a sibling, relative, neighbor, or parenting your own child. No matter which, you were doing it right. Those women were rude AF. They may keep their mouths shut next time. They probably won't be less judgy, but they may be polite about it, so you did a good thing for society. I hope so, because that pissed me off so much. Wouldn't even matter if he wasn't my brother but my kid. They still said it out loud, and for like what reason? Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she cannot leave our 7-month-old child in the bath unsupervised even for 10 seconds? My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 30 male, have 2 young kids, 2 years and 7 months. My girlfriend is doing a pretty good job with the kids. She always makes sure they have everything they need. She plays with them a lot. She's a caring mom, and she loves her kids more than anything. No doubts about that. The thing is that we've been fighting for a couple of days now about a situation that happened this weekend. She was giving a bath to the youngest in the bathroom while I was in the living room with the oldest. Everything was good, until I turned my head and saw her out the bathroom looking for her cell phone while the youngest was still in the bath. Couldn't stop myself from screaming, "What are you doing? The kid is still in the bath. You go back to the bathroom and look for your cell phone later." From which she replied, "Oh my god, calm down. There's only 1.5 inches of water in the bath. Plus I only took 10 seconds to go and grab my cell phone." She went right back to the bathroom, cell phone in hands, where she finished bath time. Half an hour later, when she came back with a newly cleaned and suited baby in the living room, I told her that she can't do those kinds of things. I told her that I find this highly irresponsible to leave a 7-month-old baby unsupervised in the bath, even if it's only for 10 seconds. That her cell phone could have waited since there were no emergencies. I told her clearly I never want it to happen ever again. She told me I was overreacting, that she was only out of the bathroom for 10 seconds, that there was only 1.5 inches of water in the bath, and that there's nothing wrong about this. The discussion pretty much ended there. The kids were there, and it was clearly not the time and place to have this kind of discussion. Plus, the girlfriend was leaving with the kids for the day to go see her parents. Note, the visit was planned, and her leaving for the day was not related to the fight we just had. Next day, I asked her if she had time to think about what happened. She was super defensive. She told me that I was still overreacting. She deviated the subject and told me how, sometimes, I forgot to close the stair gate, and how that could be very dangerous for the kids. I stopped her there. I told her that forgetting to close the stair gate was also very dangerous, but that it was a mistake I don't want to make again, unlike the bath scene where she would 100% do it again. There's nothing wrong making a mistake if we can admit it and learn from it. Girlfriend told me I had nothing to say in what she does when she takes care of the kids. That I was being paranoid and overprotective. It's been a couple of days now. I'm still mad. She's still mad. I don't feel like going back to her saying, "I'm sorry," to settle this fight and move on. Am I the a-hole here? Not stay home. She is 100% wrong on this. Babies can drown in an inch of water very quickly. Have her read an article about it. especially the part that says you must stay within arm's reach of a child in the bathtub at all times. Yep, not only do hundreds of babies drown this way, thousands of children under 5 are treated for non-fatal incidents from this exact thing: lack of adult supervision. That was more than enough water for the baby to have drowned. Not stay home. Definitely not stay home. I'm an ICU registered nurse in pediatrics. I've unfortunately cared for many children who ended up brain dead and ended up donating their organs after being left alone in the bathtub. If your girlfriend can't or won't commit to not doing this again, then she should not be on bath duty for either of your children. And frankly, I personally would consider how safe I felt leaving them alone with her at all. Not stay home. I literally Googled, how shallow can water be for kids to drown? Answer across the board? Less than 2 inches of water. Googled, how fast can a child drown? Less than 30 seconds. She is absolutely 100% wrong, and she knows it. That's why she's being defensive. This is about the safety of your kids. It is the hill you should die on. I don't have any advice on how to talk to her again, but it's super important she gets it into her head. It never leaves your kids unattended in or around water. Period. Am I the a-hole for asking my mother-in-law to leave our wedding even though she paid for it, after she brought my husband's ex as her +1? I, 28 female, met my husband, 27 male, 4 years after we divorced someone who everyone in his family calls the love of his life. It's okay. I don't really care if they think that way because my husband has assured me that it's not the case, and that he'd never consider her the love of his life. He told me that they were pretty toxic, and that the relationship grew so bad that the best for both of them was to let go, even when his first wife Mindy didn't believe it. It was pretty hard for me to get accepted into his family, especially for his mother because she was so in love with Mindy and adored her as her daughter-in-law. They were pretty close, and even got depressed after Mindy moved to another state since she didn't want to be near my husband. Time went by and my mother-in-law and I bonded after the traumatic loss of my father-in-law almost 2 years ago. His passing crushed her horribly, but my husband and I tried to be there for her as much as we could since he's their only child. The joy came back to her life after we had our first son, and mother-in-law found a new push to live thanks to him. And even though we didn't become the perfect family, we're close enough to let mother-in-law know that she'll never be alone again. But when the pandemic began, money became tight for us. And after having our baby, my husband and I decided to prioritize our needs. We used what his father left him and some of our savings to buy a house, and decided to have a small celebration after we were legally married. But my mother-in-law said no. She offered to pay for it since she was proud of my husband for doing what was best for our son. At first we said no, because it didn't feel right. But my mother-in-law convinced us, saying that she didn't want to miss the wedding just as her husband did if we ended up taking too long. We made it small and simple because we didn't want to take advantage of her, and we even let my mother-in-law have her way in some decisions. Then when the big day came, she has Mindy by her side, and my husband and I are confused. My mother-in-law approached us and we asked her what was happening. She said that she had invited her to the wedding because it was a special day. My husband said that yes, it was a special day for us, and that Mindy had no business being there, and would appreciate if she left. My mother-in-law looked at me, but I said that I feel the same way. But my mother-in-law got angry, and said that she paid for the wedding and she could invite anyone she wanted. While we both agree, we said that Mindy wasn't really anyone, and that it was the fact that she didn't tell us before, rather than inviting her. Then she said that if Mindy had to go, she'll follow, and my husband said, then do. She ended up saying that she's gonna stay, but that we had to tell Mindy to leave, which my husband gladly did. My mother-in-law spent all the evening mad, and after the wedding, we offered to pay for half of it or even everything if she wanted, but she said that the damage was already done. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. I would go no contact with her faster than I could type this comment. Yeah, this just screams narcissistic parenting. This. And I suggest you seriously consider if you want to leave your child alone with her. This, interactions about the wedding, give me a bad feeling that she may try to turn your child against you and can communicate and converse. Be wary. She cannot be trusted. Not stay home. The fact that she quickly pointed out that she is the one who paid for the wedding makes me believe that this was her plan all along. She absolutely planned to be sneaky about this, or she would have told them who she was bringing ahead of time. It sounds like Mindy lives out of state now, so this required planning. It was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Why would Mindy have even wanted to attend the wedding of her ex-husband that she moved out of state to get away from? What the actual hell is wrong with both her and mother-in-law? Not day hall, and really weird that the ex would even want to be there. Right? I'm confused why the ex bothered coming. Super weird situation all around. I'm guessing mother-in-law was hoping that the ex would show up and her son would be overwhelmed by his love for her and he would send his fiancée away and still hold a ceremony. But with the ex. The ex wasn't on it too, obviously. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking the best man out of my wedding after he disrespected my fiancé? I've been best friends with Jeff since 7th grade. He spent a lot of time at my house because his parents are very strict and religious. He had a cool laid-back mom, and everyone wanted to hang out at my house. Jeff got close to my mom and pretty much lived there unofficially during high school. My mom hates the woman I'm marrying. It's a work in progress, and I have to make a lot of sacrifices to defend my fiancé. Jeff is aware of all the drama that has been going on, and for the most part doesn't offer his opinion, though he has occasionally told me no relationship is worth losing my mom over. My mom and my fiancé got into a huge fight over my mom's dress for the wedding. That issue actually worked itself out because my mom found out she's pregnant, so she couldn't wear the offending dress anyway. And she's very happy about the baby and doesn't care about fighting with my fiancé anymore. Jeff heard about the dress drama from my mom when he was hanging out with my cousin at a family cookout which I did not attend. Then Jeff sent me a text calling my fiancé a controlling, insecure little girl, and saying I am an idiot if I would lose my mom over some witch. He admits he had been drinking when he sent it, and said he is sorry for calling her a witch, but that his sentiment stands. I did tell my fiancé what he said. I decided I can't have a best man who doesn't support the relationship and who disrespected her. I told Jeff he is still invited, but can't be the best man. He took it all right, but admitted he is worried about our friendship. My mom told me that I'm a horrible friend and becoming a fake person. She said she would never have a best friend she couldn't be honest with, and she wouldn't marry someone who was so sensitive that she had to protect them from words. Our friend group is pretty split 50-50 on this, so I don't know if I overreacted. Not day home. I mean, there's probably a lot more to the story and why your mom and friend don't like your fiancé. But based on the content of your post, your reaction is justified. What was the issue with the dress? Was it white? Just attaching myself to your comment here because I'd love an answer from Opie. Why do I have the feeling that Jeff is your mom's baby daddy? Could it be so? Info. What was the issue with the dress? What are some specific incidents that have come up between your mom and fiancé? Not day home. Your mom sounds nuts. Your fiancé may be a little immature, but definitely not deserving of what your friend said about her. The dress was too sexy. My mom believes in 100% body autonomy 100% of the time, and doesn't like clothing very much. Always have to be showing some skin. My fiancé said it was attention-stealing and inappropriate for a wedding. The issue started pretty early on. My mom is ice cold and somewhat abrasive and refuses to do normal things like make small talk. My fiancé then insinuated that I must not have gone to Disney as a kid because I had a young single mom. But I grew up well off, and we traveled a lot, so my mom didn't like that. Then my mom found out they had the same college degree/major and told my fiancé she wasn't going to make any money. But my fiancé pointed out that my mom makes very good money, but my mom just said she is special, and my fiancé doesn't have what it takes. My mom then got a boyfriend and decided she didn't need us and told us how much she hates my fiancé. Then my mom had a surprise wedding without being engaged, and my fiancé thought it was too close to our engagement and called her out. So my mom called her jealous and insecure and said she was mad because her dress cost more than your life. My mom gives a lot of unwanted opinions about what is wrong with our relationship, and thinks my fiancé is jealous and controlling because she has some insecurities. And my mom is more along the lines of pointing out women to her husband and talking about threesomes. Then my mom announced she was pregnant at my fiancé's graduation party. Obviously on purpose. My fiancé was like, "How are you having a kid? Aren't you 50? Which pissed my mom off because she's 38 and looks a good 10 years younger. So she asked her loudly about if she had gotten a job in the industry yet, knowing she hadn't. Now my mom is bragging about how we have no power over her because she doesn't need our kids because of the baby. And my fiance feels like my mom is trying to act like it is some do-over family and called her out. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying 50% of the rent? I moved in with my boyfriend 4 months ago, and we agreed that I would pay half of the rent and utilities. I'm not on the lease, and the utilities are in my boyfriend's name. We have a 2-bedroom apartment. The second bedroom used as a combo home office for me and music studio for him. Then 3 weeks ago, his brother moved in. I came home from a weekend trip with my sister and found him there. No discussion beforehand. I was pissed. My boyfriend swore it was for a week at most until his brother moved in with a friend. So he spent a week on the living room couch. Well, to no one's surprise, that didn't happen. The friend decided he didn't want the brother to move in, given that the brother doesn't work, doesn't clean up after himself, and is a general jerk. Even my boyfriend admits this about his brother. So I can't say I blame the friend. My boyfriend says he can't kick his brother out when he has no place to go, and begged me to give him a couple of months as I had started packing my things. I reluctantly agreed, and boyfriend ends up moving my desk into the living room, where I have no privacy while I work at his music stuff, into a corner of the bedroom, where we are basically tripping over it so his brother can have a bedroom. I told boyfriend he has 2 months to get his brother out, or I would move out. It gets to the time of the month for me to send money to my boyfriend for bills. I send him 25% of the rent and 33% of the utilities instead of 50% for both. And boyfriend is upset, saying that is not what we agreed on. I told him I also don't agree to live with his brother, and I'm just paying what I feel is fair given that. My thinking is that every apartment I have shared, you pay rent by bedroom and utilities by person. Boyfriend starts freaking out, saying that he can't afford that, and that I agreed to his brother staying. I told him that I agreed to not move out. I did not agree to financially support his brother. He told me that I can't just change our agreement, and I pointed out that he had when he added a third person to the apartment. Boyfriend insists he doesn't have enough money to pay that much, as he is short on money and his old roommate moving out is one of the big reasons I moved in. Boyfriend says that he will end up having to not pay something, and that it will kill his credit when he has been working on rebuilding. He tells me that he is already short because he is having to spend more money on groceries with his brother there, as I flatly refuse to pay for more groceries. Still, I refuse to budge. Boyfriend insists that I'm trying to hurt him financially because I'm angry with him and being petty. I am angry, and I know that I can make bad decisions when I'm mad. However, thinking about it, I don't think I should have to support his brother. Living with 2 other people should cost less than living with 1 other person. However, I am doubting my own judgment. Am I being petty out of anger? Am I the a-hole for not paying 50% of the rent? Edit. This has come up many times. Why didn't I tell boyfriend ahead of time that I wasn't going to pay 50% as normal? The answer is that I never thought about money until I went to transfer him money for the monthly bills. That was the first time I realized that I would be financially supporting the brother if I kept paying 50%, and I decided I wasn't going to do it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. As you say, boyfriend changed the rules without asking you. And you were getting less use out of the apartment because you no longer have a home office in a separate room. You have no privacy in the living room when you are working. Your bedroom is cluttered with the music stuff. You have an extra person using the bathroom, taking showers, etc. In every way possible, your enjoyment of your living space has been reduced. Thank you. That is my reasoning as well. It's not just that, OP. Your boyfriend was only able to afford to move his brother in because you were paying for half. Your boyfriend would not, otherwise have been able to support his brother entirely. So basically, what he's doing is forcing you to support his brother because he can't himself. I think you need to move out, because this is a much deeper problem than just being blind because of family. Your boyfriend has bad credit and is rebuilding, and yet he allows his brother to stay without contributing? I now understand why he has bad credit. He is incapable of making good financial decisions. And is fighting with you over how much you pay for his brother instead of fighting with his a-hole brother over not paying, / not getting a job at a time when jobs are going begging? OP, if you stay with this dude, his family will be your responsibility for life. Not to mention your boyfriend's poor financial decisions. Reconsider. Not the a-hole. That is what I finally realized when I started to transfer money to boyfriend, which is why I changed the amounts to 25% and 33% instead of 50%. I won't let this happen long term. When I said I would move out if the brother didn't leave in 2 months, not 6 weeks, I meant it. Darling, move out now. No, you're not the a-hole. Your boyfriend is forcing you to support his brother. Everywhere is hiring. This is immature bullcrap. Seriously, get out. That's the key. Opie needs to just move. Opie seems capable if she was packing at first. But the boyfriend is both inconsiderate and disrespectful. You don't move extra people in on your girlfriend or roommates. Literally everywhere is hiring. Even if he has to work retail or fast food for a bit, it's something to get back on his feet. Not the a-hole. You breached your agreement the moment to let his brother stay there without even consulting you. Why doesn't brother get a job? There are tons of places hiring, and he can just get his lazy butt out and find one. Because he is lazy. There is nothing physically wrong with him, but he is the youngest child and spoiled rotten. He honestly believes manual labor is beneath him, and he doesn't have the skills to get non-manual jobs. When even his parents got tired of his BS and kicked him out if he didn't get a job, he started couch surfing. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting my boyfriend to come support me at the hospital and then being upset that he didn't? I, 26 female, am currently almost 15 weeks pregnant. Just under 3 weeks ago, I started bleeding fairly heavily while at work and had to go to the ER. I drove myself and called my 24 male boyfriend over and over on the drive to the hospital. It took about 7 calls before he answered because he was playing a video game with his friends. I asked if I could pick him up because our apartment is on the way, but he told me to go straight to the hospital, so I did. Once I got there, I had to stay for a few hours. Our boss, we work at the same place, was worried and called me to check on me and ask if he wanted her to go pick him up and bring him to me. I called him and asked, but he said no because he didn't want to make her do that. I told him she was offering, but he still said no. He stayed on the phone with me for a little bit, but was still playing with his friends and was pretty distracted. My phone ended up dying, and I spent the last 2 hours there alone, terrified I was losing my baby, and being told to stop crying by the nurses because I was going to stress baby out. When they finally discharged me, I had to drive myself home. When I got home, I told him I was upset that he left me alone with no support like that. He argued that he didn't have a way there. I reminded him about our boss offering, and that's when he told me that I was ignoring his fear of hospitals and doctors, and it was unfair that I expected him to just get over it to come sit with me. Then he said the next time he sees a big spider, he's going to push me to it and tell me to get over it. Part of me thinks he should have been there for me and our child, but part of me feels like maybe he's right and I was being inconsiderate of his feelings. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Just be aware he will not change once baby is born. You're gonna be in for a whole lot more poor behavior on his part. He'll be off playing Monster Hunter while she's in labor. Irrelevant, but that was actually the game he was playing while I was in the ER. Monster Hunter literally almost ruined my, very new, marriage. My husband plays tons of video games, but for some reason, that was the one that caused me to stop existing. Husband is not allowed to get the new one, and quite frankly doesn't want it because of that. This is horrific and so sad. The last part about a spider really shows his character. Honestly, he sounds absolutely horrible, and a bad person to be around whilst pregnant. I think you should leave him.